All right, hello everyone. So this is going to be a slightly different kind of video for this channel, but I think it could be interesting. I'm interested in the Overwatch League. So those of you who may know me know that I love the Overwatch League. I don't know, I watch it every weekend. I'm really excited for it to come back, especially now that we've got 8 new teams coming in. I think it's going to be a great season. I think there's going to be a lot more competition, of course. Hopefully the Shanghai Dragons don't go 0-28, but we'll see how that goes. So I'm a Philly Fusion fan, personally. I watched the show match this weekend against the NYXL because they both had their homecoming events, and I kind of want to talk about it. I think it's a really good preview for how the season might go. We've had a couple of these show matches in the off-season. They had the California Cup between the Shock and the Valiant. That was cool. But this one is, closer to the start of the season where both teams have gotten their new signings coming in. So this is probably the better show match to see how these teams are going to fare as compared to the, Shock versus Valiant, where that was earlier on and things have changed since then. So, like, for example, just I think it was yesterday, as of when I'm recording this, of course, the Shock just signed Stryker off of the Boston Uprising, so that's really cool. But he wasn't in that showcase. They had the California Cup, so things have changed. Interested to see how things go. Anyway, so we're going to get into this. NYXL versus Philly Fusion. It was a lot of fun to watch. As far as only running GOATs can be fun, we're going to talk about that. So the first things first, I kind of want to talk about what I saw, right? What what might be different this year for these two teams, how they're going to turn out. I think both teams are promising, of course. I want to talk about Philly first because those are my boys. I love Philly. So it was really interesting to me that Carpe played a really good Zarya. I was intrigued that they didn't have someone else on Zarya, that they had him in. Maybe they thought that they needed that DPS player in because what if they need to switch off of GOATs? I guess it makes sense. But he did fantastic. He was getting really good ult charge really fast. The only problem was you don't want Carpe on Zarya if he's going to get them eaten by Diva Bombs. He had that happen a little too often for my liking. You could tell he's not a Zarya player because he was lobbing some of his grabs from way too far away to be effective. It seems like a rookie mistake that you would just chuck him out there like a baseball, but you know what? That's what he did. He's not a main tank player. He's a Widow player, It went well, I guess. But he can definitely do better. Overall, I think the new tank lineup makes a little bit of a difference. As much as I love Fraggy and I love the way he just goes nuts, maybe it's a good thing that he's sitting on the bench a little bit more. I think things look good for Philly as far as GOATS is concerned. As for the NYXL, they look stronger than ever. We didn't see Flower, if I'm not mistaken. Flower is going to be coming in as a DPS player. We didn't see him get played at all during the show match that, of course, the NYXL ended up winning on the 5th map, 3-2. But what was really, really good for New York was that they have their tank line under control now. Right, if you remember, this was a common sort of problem that a lot of the Korean teams saw. The Seoul Dynasty had huge tank problems halfway through the season. They put Ryo Jae-hong on the Winston. That was a mess. That should never have happened. Jae-hong should never have been on Winston. They were in that much of a pit, so to speak. The London Spitfire, same thing. They got rid of Fisher, traded him over to LA Gladiators, and things didn't go so hot for them after that. They kind of couldn't figure out who was going to be their main tank for a little bit, and they slumped, and then eventually they came back and won the whole thing. I don't want to talk about that part because, Philly. But they had issues for a while. You even look at the NYXL. They had these same sort of issues where their tank line just kind of fell apart halfway through the season. I think part of it was the whole Brigitte coming into the mix. Kind of threw off the way that main tank is played, the way that Reinhardt is played. So their whole Brigitte really just messed up everything, if we're being honest. It changed the way teams had to play tank. And some teams adapted better than others, but it seemed to me that the Korean teams did not adapt all that well. Just given the 12 teams that we have, it's a small sample size, but still. So NYXL coming into the show match running nothing but GOATs, they had really good tank play. They had really effective tank play. I thought Nene was doing a fantastic job on Zarya. That was what I noticed the most coming out of this show match, was really the Zarya play. I don't know, maybe that's what I just happened to be focusing on that day. But Nene's Zarya was way better than Carpe's Zarya. Maybe that had something to do with who won and who lost. I don't know. Nene's Zarya was so good that his bubble, it was his bubble placement. It was his bubble timing that really set it. There were a couple of instances where, you know, Poco would throw up a huge Poco bomb. It's going to be huge. And then somehow Nene blocked everybody who was going to get Poco bombed by that, right? There were a couple of instances where, you know, he'd throw up the bomb and you look and you see, you're doing the math in your head, the gears are turning and you see, okay, Poco's going to get a 2K out of this. But then Nene manages to bubble himself and bubble the only other target that's in the Poco bomb and saves the whole team. He did this a couple of times where he saved everybody that was going to be bombed. It was incredibly clutch to deny those kills, and he did that several times. His bubble management was just so good where he threw up bubbles and you'd think, well, he just used that, didn't he? How does he already have his bubble again? It's just because he knows exactly when they need to go up. As an aspiring Zarya player, that was huge to watch because, you know, he was just a master at the craft of playing Zarya. As far as I could tell, you know, it's one game, but yeah, he looked like he's really going to help them on their Zarya play. That's going to make a huge difference, I think, especially if we keep seeing so much goats. That's going to be the difference makers, that their tank line is looking a lot stronger than it was last season. So they've got some potential going forward because their DPS play was always fantastic. That was never a problem. Jonak, of course, the god Jonak, always going to carry them. But they just needed a little bit better tank play so that the rest of the team didn't have to carry so hard. And I think Nene brings that in on Zarya. Their Reinhardt play looked good. The Reinhardt-Brigitte play together was pretty good. There were good combos there. They had very good synergies. Overall, I think their tank play looks way stronger, and it scares me, you know, because my team's going to have to play them more. But I do think that the Philly-New York matchup is going to be a very good one every time that it happens. It might happen a few times through the season. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to see that rematch in the regular season because both teams are looking pretty strong coming into the season. So what I really want to talk about here at the end of this video is GOATs. Everybody's talking about GOATs. Yeah, I know. You're probably tired of hearing about it. Everybody's tired of hearing about GOATs. Okay, so I'll keep it short, sweet, and to the point. GOATs is fun to watch to an extent. I enjoy GOATs. Playing it is a lot of fun. It's fast. It's furious. It's brutal. It's boom, boom, boom. You're in there. You're getting kills. You're just, you know, you're working as a unit. As someone who plays on a team, it's really great when the synergies come together and you play as an absolute unit. Just in awe at the size of this lad, right? Like, when you play together in GOATs, it feels fantastic. But the viewing experience is a little bit different, right? You don't want to watch GOATs all the time. You don't want to just see the same thing every single map, no matter what. Because if I recall correctly, we saw a total of, 7 heroes? The entire 5 maps? Right? They played Lucio, Zen, Brig, Reinhardt, Zarya, Diva, and then if they needed to get to the point to stall or whatever, they'd pull out the Wrecking Ball. That was it. And you know, really it doesn't create a great viewing experience because you're seeing the same thing every map. It gets old after a while. Yeah, there's a lot of teamwork that goes into it. There's a lot of coordination, and I can respect it from that aspect. You know, from a playing aspect, I can respect that. I love it. But from a viewing aspect, you got to change it up every now and again. You got to switch it up. GOATs will hurt Overwatch League in the long run if it's not stopped now. And I hope that Blizzard takes this seriously because you have now, 2 more months until February 14th. You've got a little over 2 months to take this and fix it. The Brigitte changes that are coming through might have something to do with it. Maybe she'll get pulled back a little bit. She'll get reined in. But other changes have to come through. They've got 2 months to fix the meta. GOATs can still be strong, but it shouldn't be the be-all, end-all. It shouldn't be you have to run GOATs to win at the highest level of competition. because what this is going to do in the long run is hurt their star power. Who are their star players right now? If you talk about the league, the star players are the DPS, right? If you look at any other league, the home run hitters in baseball are the star players. We talk about Babe Ruth. We talk about all of these great athletes, but they're cool. They're known because they hit home runs. They do the big plays. They win the game, so to speak. The quarterbacks who throw the touchdown. Drew Brees is the greatest of all time. Don't at me. You know, I'll try to keep real sports out of this, but we like the gunslingers. That's why Pine is so fun to watch. That's why his McCree play is amazing. That's why when he swings around the backside of, you know, Gibraltar third point and pops headshots from behind the team, it's cool to watch. You know, one of the reasons that I'm a Philly fan is because I think it was stage 1, Eichenwald, Carpe, second point in Streets phase. He does the grapple hook shot thing, you know, flies into the air and dinks a headshot, lands, dinks another headshot, and I'm just like, this is fun to watch, right? You have all of these amazing DPS players in the league, and we don't get to see any DPS. Like, when the most DPS you're getting comes out of a Zenyatta charging up a volley of headshots, that's not cool. I want to see these star players go back to their star heroes. I want to see more Tracer. I want to see more Widowmaker. I want to see, like, Jake Rat come back, you know? Let's be honest, Junkrat is a pretty good GOATS counter sometimes, but, you know, beside the point. I want more DPS. Long story short, if Blizzard doesn't do something to fix this sooner rather than later, we're going to come into the season, and in week 1, you're going to see nothing but GOATs. And all of these people, whether they're old fans or new fans that are coming in for the second season, they're going to be like, this is boring to watch. I'm seeing the same thing every time. And there's only so much that the announcers can hype it up and say, yeah, GOATs. You can't live like this. We've got to mix up the comps. We've got to bring other metas back to really make this a viewership experience that can succeed in the long run. Yeah, if you're expanding by 8 more teams, if you're expanding by all these new players, if you're pushing with, you know, sponsorship deals with Fanatics, you know, you've got new merch lines coming out, you've got more eyes on this than you did last season. Of course, you have a lot more eyes on this. It could go mainstream. If that's what you really want, you've got to make it fun to watch. And right now, GOATs can only be so fun to watch. That's all I'm going to say about GOATs. As much as I love to play it, and as much as I love to watch it for a map or two, I don't want to see it game in, game out, every map, every mode, every match. Because if we do that, I never get to see Carpe on Widowmaker again. And that's not a world I want to live in, okay? So, that's where I'll end it. These are my takeaways from the show match. I think the tank play for New York is going to be great. I think Carpe is a serviceable Zarya, even though I would love to see him on Widowmaker, and I'd love to see less GOATs, just in general. I think Blizzard has the opportunity to fix these things, get it all taken care of before the season starts. And I think we could be in for a really fun season with the top dogs retaining their top spot, but also having to defend it from the new coming teams who could be pretty cool. So, yeah, that's all I've got to say. I'm going to end it here. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Let me know what you think of the analysis. Let me know what you think about these new tank players coming in for NYXL. Nene, what do you think? What do you think about GOATs? I want to know your thoughts, your opinions, so leave a comment and we'll have a little conversation down below. This is the Haitian Homie signing off, and I'll see you guys later.